So, you've learned a ton of English, but how do you keep improving once you already speak very well? Today I'm going to show you exactly how I maintain and grow my vocabulary at a C2 level with habits that actually work in real life. Let's go. Here's the thing, I'm a non-native speaker myself, but one can say that I've reached some really nice heights. I taught in an American college for 3 years. I even won the Best Speaker Award at a British public speaking club. And at this point, I sometimes get asked to coach fellow members of the club who are native speakers themselves. Pretty good results for a non-native speaker, right? But none of this will be possible if I hadn't been constantly honing my language. The first time when I confirmed officially my C2 was back in 2017 when I scored 8.5 on my first IELTS. Then a couple of years after that, I scored 117 on TOEFL. And a couple of years back, when I was moving to the UK, I had to take another iteration of IELTS, and that time I scored 8.5 again. So I'm absolutely positive that I'm at that level right now. And I'm also positive that it's paramount to maintain your skills. Unfortunately, this isn't like riding a bicycle. When you reach a high level and stop maintaining it, it will fade away. This is inevitable. There are 3 specific things that I do to maintain my vocabulary at a high level. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through each of them in more detail. Thing number 1, be on a constant lookout for new collocations. There's always something to learn. At C2, it might not be a brand new word, but rather an unfamiliar way of putting some familiar words together. The key here is staying genuinely open to discovering new language. Back in the day, I did not follow this advice. I had this very toxic mindset, which went like, I know everything. I felt protective of what I had learned, and if I stumbled across a new collocation or something that seemed to break the rules I worked so hard to master, I would simply turn a blind eye. That mindset is actually very common at a certain stage of language learning. We get very defensive of our knowledge because deep down we don't want it to crumble. At a higher level though, this protective attitude becomes a limitation. So I had to make a shift from I know everything to I know nothing, and that's fine. Guys, when you come across a new rule or a collocation or another pronunciation of a word that you've been mispronouncing all the time, and you suddenly get this feeling like you know nothing, rejoice. Ironically, that's a sign of growth. Because feeling like a beginner again means the learning is working. Conversely, when you're convinced that you know everything, you're stuck. A little side tip here, I recommend reading Think Again by Adam Grant, which is a fantastic book that helps you get into the right learner mindset. And I will actually use this book right now as a bridge to my practical tip for you. Just look at this. I literally destroy my books with different kinds of notes. I know that there's a lot of people out there who think that books are sacred and untouchable. Totally fine, to each their own. But I love commenting and underlining, especially because I'm always on the lookout for new collocations. There's hardly ever a book where I can't find any new, unusual way to combine words. So my practical tip for you here is to make it a constant process to notice interesting collocations anywhere and put them in your notes immediately. Tip number 2, do a little research. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Not every collocation that you notice is worth remembering. For one, some of them are occasionalisms, words or phrases that are created for this particular context, this particular moment. This is a situation where a native speaker is being creative with their own language, and at the same time, at this point, they are creating some word or an unusual collocation on the go. These are one-off inventions of native speakers that don't always become standard English. Another thing to keep in mind in your hunt for new collocations is that native speakers make mistakes too. They invent usages on the fly, use words in weird, unusual ways, and even mispronounce them. The famous case here is the word mischievous that a lot of native speakers mispronounce as mischievous. Lastly, some phrases might look innocent in one context, but they actually turn out to carry some really strong subcultural or slang meaning in another context. The fix here is very simple. Double check. Use reliable references like Cambridge Dictionary or Merriam-Webster for definitions, example, context, and nice pronunciation examples. Dictionaries are not always reliable for an accurate pronunciation information, so here I would recommend going on youglish.com to check real pronunciations from native speakers. By the way, I'm going to leave a couple of links in the description to this video. Make sure to check these out. Please also use Urban Dictionary to spot any subcultural or inappropriate meanings of the word that you have just found out. And if you're a linguistic nerd like myself, you can use a language corpus to find out the frequency and the context. Yes, it takes effort. Progressing at a high level is extremely hard, but I promise this research stage is actually the most interesting part. And the third tip, the last and the most important one, put it to work. All of this means nothing if your notes never leave the notebook. I revisit my vocabulary lists regularly. I literally have 2 recurring time blocks on my calendar, which are Quizlet sets creation and Quizlet sets review. Back in the day, which is 3.5 years ago, it took me hours to create Quizlet sets in the most effective way, which is not the word on one side and the translation on the other. No way. Instead, and I know that a lot of advanced English learners and English teachers themselves do it as well, I put the collocation that I'm learning on the front, and on the back a definition and 2 example sentences with blanks. Now that I use ChatGPT to help generate definitions and examples in the required format, this whole process takes way less time, which is amazing for all of us who want to work on their vocabulary effectively. And when I get to reviewing the cards, I don't stress about trying to cover all the hundreds of collocations in my notes. Instead, I give myself from 10 to 15 minutes, recap as much as I can by making examples on the go. I picture real context from my life where I could potentially use this or that collocation, and I just run the script in my head. Another tip from me here is to make your vocabulary list or the items that you're going through visible. You can pick a couple of phrases that you noticed, put them on a post-it or a sticky note. Place it somewhere you would see it regularly, and when you see this post-it note, try to run a couple of examples of these collocations in your head. The more you see those words and try to think through the ways you can apply them in your reality, the faster they become part of your active vocabulary. So these are the 3 things you can do to hone your vocabulary, not only when you're at C2, but also when you're on your way to this level as well. In the comments, let me know if you want to hear more tips on how to reach and maintain a high level as a non-native speaker. There's actually way more things to unpack here apart from vocabulary. And subscribe if you are on this journey. There is so much more to come.